Kentucky Sour Mash Whiskey, Shanks, Homestead. So we got another Michter's, sour mash product here. But how does this bottle compare to the OG Michter's Sour Mash? Let's find out. Welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today we're talking Shanks. We've got the Shanks Homestead, which is a sour mash whiskey. This bottle here is the 2023 release, and it's clocking in at 91.2 proof. So, if you don't know, Shanks is a Michter's product, and this bottle here pays homage back to John Shanks, who originally founded the distillery in 1753, which then became known as Michter's around the 20th century. So the cool thing about this bottle is that it was made with two different types of wood. One was an 18-month naturally air-dried wood, and the other one was a 24-month air-dried French oak. And both of those barrels, had the classic Michter's toasted profile. So this isn't a toasted product. All of Michter's products do have a certain level of proprietary toast done to them. The actual Michter's toasted barrels, those go into a secondary barrel, which is then toasted again. But so this one here, two different types of oak. It's a sour mash. The sour mash doesn't have anything to do with like the flavor profile. That just really means that, like the setback, so a little bit of the yeast from the previous batch is used to kickstart the fermentation process, for the next fermentation cycle. So I don't know if anybody else during COVID, got into making sourdough bread. I did. So, it's just like a starter with sourdough, how you kind of have to constantly feed it, to keep the yeast active. That's basically what they're doing, is they're just keeping the yeast active from the previous distillation process. We're going to be comparing it today against the normal Michter's Sour Mash. This bottle here, 86 proof. This bottle here, 91.2 proof. This bottle is actually allocated in Virginia. Not really sure why, but it's, one of Michter's standard, offerings. It's like $45. You've got the Shanks, which is, I think this one retails at $9.99. I got it for actually $101, so literally $2 more than retail. So I'm always kind of a little bit of a hesitant to spend that much money on like a 91 proof bottle. So let's go ahead and crack into this and see what we think. So the Michter's line in general, like they have a lower barrel entry proof, I believe. Their barrel entry proof is around like 110, which is also why like a lot of like the Michter's products have a lower proof, because they actually have to add less water to the distillate to proof it down to the lower proofs. So that's kind of cool. So I guess that's their thought process there is they can pull more flavor out of lower proof whiskeys. And this Shanks is a whiskey. I don't believe that it has 51% corn, although the mash bill is undisclosed. They do say it has relatively high rye in the mash bill, and it also showcases some malted rye as well. So I don't know. I imagine this might be like a blend in between the sour mash and like a toasted sour mash. I have had the sour mash before. Was kind of underwhelmed by it, but a lot of people seem to really love it. But I don't know. It's pretty expensive for what it was, in my opinion. But anyways, here's the regular sour mash. Definitely sweet on the nose. I actually pick up like a little bit of the oak, coming off of that. Definitely like a lot, like a vanilla bean, not like a nuttiness, but just like a lot of vanilla. But like it actually surprisingly, has a has a good amount of oak, on the palate. Let's compare it to the Shanks. Yeah, I mean, this one, again, is very, like, vanilla forward sweet, but, like, you can smell, like, the different oak used on this barrel. It's definitely, the oak is much more pronounced, but it's not, like, a sweet, like, aged oak. It's, like, it smells like a hardwood. I don't know if that makes sense, but like how like a box of hardwood floors, kind of has a specific scent. But yeah, definitely getting a lot of oak on the palate there. So let's go ahead and on the nose. Let's go ahead and get to the palate. Straightforward, Michter sour mash. Like it's great for what it is. The 86 proof. It's a very sweet. Yeah, it's sweet, not like overly complex. You get a little bit of the barrel spice on the tongue. It has a little bit of the warmth coming in from the finish, but you're not going to expect too much. It's only 86 proof. There's no ethanol, there's no burn. Like this is one of the products when like someone comes over and they're like, "Hey, not really sure if I'm into whiskey or not." This is one of the bottles I like to give them, because it is super sweet, very similar to like a Buffalo Trace, but you get a little bit more of an oak flavor there instead of like Buffalo Trace being a little bit more berry forward with sweetness. This one's just like a vanilla sweet whiskey. So let's go into the Shanks. Let's see what we got. Yeah, the oak on the nose is that is very apparent. Man, you can taste that French oak. Like that stands out. It's like that French oak vanilla sweetness. Like that is maybe like a little bit of like allspice in there as well. But yeah, it doesn't like have the same kind of like barrel spice on the tongue. That just stands out. Like it doesn't taste like toasted, with like coming from like an overwhelming like amount of like marshmallow sweetness. But you do kind of taste a little bit of like an oaky marshmallow there, like with just tons of vanilla. It definitely has like a little bit of caramel or more like butterscotch, I would say, kind of on the back end there. Not overly complex in my opinion. I think it's definitely good. I did have a buddy over, last night, and I had him, try both of these as well, and he absolutely loved the Shanks. He really liked the normal sour mash too, but he was like in love with the Shanks. I don't know. I definitely like it. It just has a very like unique oaky profile to it. Um, it's not like doesn't taste like overly aged oak, like I was getting from like the Michter's 10, or you get from like a Calumet 16, or I don't know, like the Jack Daniel's 12, or one of those like ultra aged bourbons with the oak. Like it definitely just has a very unique oak forward profile with a lot of vanilla sweetness on the palate as well. Um, Overall, I like it. I'm not going to be back buying one to like back this bottle up or anything. I'd give it, probably like 3/4 of a thumbs up. It was good. It's just kind of like I feel like this is a bourbon or a whiskey you have to be in the mood for, and especially at $100. On secondary, they frequently see those at like 200, to 250. I definitely wouldn't pay that much for this. Like it just isn't an overly complex bottle. Like it's good, but again, that like oak profile is just pretty unique. And again, like the Michter's regular sour mash, 86 proof, very sweet. Again, has more of like a burnt oak like profile to it that I get, but it's still just a very vanilla forward. Both of them are vanilla forward in the sweetness. But finding this for like $47 or like hunting for this as like an annual release, like I would just like drink the regular sour mash and be happy. I'm glad I've had the experience to try this, but it's definitely not something that I'm going to be like hunting for to get another one. But anyways, hey, if you've enjoyed this video, would you consider giving me a like? Would you consider subscribing? Did you like this video? Do you want to see more content like this? Please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, my name's Tanner. This is Neat Bourbon. And as always, pop the bottles and share the pours. And we'll see you in the next one.